Good afternoon, everyone. I am Marco Torretta from Regione Lombardia. Since last year, I was working in ERSEF, and for ERSEF, I dealt of the habitat and vegetable species, and so I'm still dealing with this. So we dealt basically for ERSEF, it was very easy to deal with forests and species living in forests. As the name says it, we are the regional body dealing with forest and animal species living in forests, but we also dealt with open spaces. And one of the habitats we consider very important in the region is the habitat 4030, and this is heathland habitat. This was widespread in the region. They were located next to Milan until the river Ticino, with the abandonment of moorland, the recognition of this habitat by some species, but also the setting of woods starting from the time of the Austrian domination, they lost their spaces. We're talking about a space that is of 62 hectares, and the state of conservation, unfortunately, is very low. The ongoing pressure from human side, but in general, are very high. So the approach that we used is a multidisciplinary approach. We try to involve in the creation of the guideline for the management of moorland all the protagonists on the territory. So starting from the staff of the free park in which this habitat is present, but also other players. And therefore, we thought immediately that we couldn't manage the habitat from its vegetation, because it was also hosting other species of animals, but also of insects that are very important danger. So the process was quite long, and after a number of checks, also in specific environment, as the ones that you can see in the picture, afterwards I will talk to you about that. This led to the creation of these guidelines, and still through fund made available by Lombardy region to the development of free project for the requalification of a big portion of moorland in Lombardy. We were saying before about the problem of that we have. We understood, looking at the maps, that unfortunately or luckily, depend from the point of view, that many areas in which there was still moorland were exactly under the electricity, maybe because the managers were guaranteeing that there was not an expansion of the wood. So we started to have a difficult but constructive dialogue with the managers of the electrical lines. So considering that these electrical lines are of a high power, they are managed by Terna. That is the only one who manages this in Italy. So this electrical line, and unfortunately, due to their importance, they can't be interrupted. The power cannot be interrupted, and so they are managed in order to guarantee the transport of electricity. They don't pay attention to what is below them. The path was difficult but constructive, although, because even last week we met them and we went to see some portion of their lines in the Ticino Park, and we have the possibility to add in their practice of ordinary management a special attention also for the moorland, but not only for moorland, but for all the areas that are strategic for the animal and vegetable species. This is a difficult path. We're working on it since some years, but we hope to have results. And again, the mission of ERSAF was the conservation and the management of forests. So we focused also on the woods, and we focused on the habitats that were at risk, and there in the valleys, the pressures of human and of invasive species is quite intense. So with the University of Pavia, the group that accompanied us also for other aspects, also on other animal species, we managed to set some guidelines that forecast a number of interventions. I am just telling you just as a matter of example, because then Patrizia, my friend, will provide more details on this aspect, that basically an aspect we figured out in some wood that was occurring in some wood. It was not enough to plant the plant because there were some components that were missing. So one of the schemes that has been introduced was to introduce a type of flora. And here again, we're satisfied because we managed to implement a system with some private players at the center of local fauna of Lombardy region in order to put some specific vegetables, and with the certainty that this will not have an impact with the genetic heritage of the plants from Lombardy. So basically, we always dealt with habitat and of open spaces. Here we are basically in another type of habitat, of which, although there is much of this in the region. We are talking about the heart of Alps.
We tried to find a system to manage, especially the sheep herding habitats in the Lombardy, and for example, some humid grass aspects. Just to give you a very quick, for example, from a geographical point of view, I'm trying to find, for example, here in red, you can see the Rete Natura 2000 areas, and in green, all the grass. And in this map, you can see the malghe, the pastures, the pasture grazing that regards, livestock breeding in the mountains. We have this platform here for the region of Lombardy, And in the Alps and pre-Alps, we have almost 861 huts, alpine huts, pastures that have lots of livestock from May to the end of September, when the habitats have their maximum structures. They are ready for their reproduction, and wildlife from the Alps have needed to have some space to reproduce themselves and put an end to their life cycle. So we detected a sample of 10 different pastures, of 10 different huts with different backgrounds in terms of load being presented there, and also as regarded their ownerships, because we have some state-owned ownership, some ownerships of the regional Lombardy, and some private ownerships. Out of these 10 pastures, out of these 10 huts, we proposed a plan relating to the grazing, to the pasture land, trying to enhance the grasslands, not in contraposition, but in parallel with the conservation of the habitats of Rete Natura 2000. Just a couple of stimulus. One of the strengths that we find was engaging the owner of the alpine pasture, and they will carry out the grazing plan, engaging because they are the one that use the pasture, so they could put into practice the indication of such grazing plan, which is to be embedded in its reality, the load, the types of grazing. But we have also some criticalities. Let's get back to the previous slides. We need to discuss with the owners, because some private owners could say, no, we're not interested in this. And you cannot construct, you cannot build a dialogue if you're not able to build some network. Never found anybody saying does, no, we're not interested, but this could happen, We're also the problem that some livestock breeder are more forward looking, and others instead are just interested to profits. They disregard the environmental topics. And fundamentally, we have a problem that relates to the timings to lease the alpine pastures. You need to get there when the plan can be actually implemented, because if the contract has other 6 years before its expiration, the plan cannot be implemented. Having said so, I'm done.